Good morning, land of YouTube. Looks super bright. Miracle of cameras. It's not. Sun's almost up. It's like 6 o'clock. Oh goodness. You know, I'd like to think that I make videos sharing where I'm at in my mind, possibly, you know, to relate to, if anybody watches these videos and finds something to relate to. I guess that gives me motivation to do it. That, and I'm just clearing my head every morning. It helps me get out some of the things that build up inside, I guess. I think a lot, clearly. So, I have found that more recently, I've been a tad bit too drained. I think I opened myself up to something, and I bet a lot of women are going to relate a little bit more to this. But emotionally, as individuals or humans that are sexual beings, I think if we're... Oh, look at that, I got some stuff on me. I think if we are not quite sure if we're emotionally ready to maybe look for a dating opportunity or something like that, put ourselves out there to date, right? Maybe there's an idea of it, but we're not really ready, possibly. And I think it can be emotionally draining, especially not being sure if we're ready to involve somebody else into our energy or into our world, willing to open up and trust somebody new. And so for me, it's a little bit of a maybe a PTSD thing. I've had some very traumatic situations with relationships, to say the least, all throughout my life, stemming from childhood. And I'm not trying to reshape those and take those with me to continually... That's crazy, there's a jet. Perfect timing. I'm not trying to take those with me continually into the future and recreate those scenarios based on my previous trauma or damage. But I'll tell you what, it's fucking scary. I think there's still a little bit of a fear that clings on that would make me not really want to open myself up 100%, so I would close off. I would attempt to go out and date. Maybe things line up, and then I see what I would figure in my own personal space as red flags with, you know, just things I've observed. And I'm not saying just as face value observation. I'm just saying characteristics that are in everybody. Everybody's got a different spin on a different characteristic, and no one's perfect. By no means do I think I'm going to find somebody perfect, and by no means do I say I'm fucking perfect. But I do feel, and I still, you know, like I said, I'm not perfect. My place is not in my head. My place is not that perfect. I clearly overthink the fuck out of everything. And that's okay, because I'm a deep thinker. I like to overanalyze stuff. And I don't even know if it's overanalyzing. It's just the way I analyze things. I look at everything. And I'm doing my best to find the healthiest outcome that I can see for every single instance. From previous things I've learned that are either A, unhealthy or healthy. I'm trying to apply the most healthy techniques I can find. For instance, I'm not always doing these damn energy drinks, even though that's the focal point of most of my videos. Today I've got a different energy. It's protein. I skipped breakfast. I did have a cup of coffee this morning. And maybe that's part of the reason I'm off a little bit. If I ever do it with those damn caffeine things, then I'm like over medicated on caffeine. How about that? Caffeine's a fucking medication. I mean, it's a drug. So, okay, back to the relationship aspect. So more recently, I've had things line up at first, and there's a great possibility for beautiful things in the future. Part of me wants to close off and run. There's a big part of me that just wants to focus on myself, focus on my art, focus on writing, and close off to the world to where I can protect my energy, because there's a really big amount of energy transfer that goes into being with an individual in a relationship, especially a potentially romantic one, or one that is romantic. I think a lot of times as humans, we pair up and we do everything we can for our partners or our wives or our husbands or our other half, our significant other, whatever term anybody wants to identify with. We can forget about ourselves in the process. And I don't know if I'm ready to go into some kind of a relationship right now currently, because I need to always be focused on me first, and then everybody else gets to reap the benefits. If I get into something and I forget about myself, and I'm doing harm to myself somehow, even if it's fucking something that's mildly uncomfortable that I don't agree with, if I let it slip, and it could be silly and simple about a role that I learned to grow through, but then, occasionally I let myself slip on a role, whatever it is. I'm not saying I'm perfect, and I am kind of being corrective because I don't know if I really want to adjust to these things like right away. I let a cat come into my bed. Cats have, shit underneath their claws from their litter box. This one's a wild cat, so he gets all kinds of shit outside. Not really wild, but he's outside cat. I let him into my bed. That brings, an outside animal presence into my actual sleeping space, right? And I remember when I was younger, I used to have dogs. We had 13 dogs at one point. I used to have dogs in bed with me. I don't do it anymore because I know some animal psyche techniques from Cesar Millan, and and animals are all good and fine. I don't see them as humans. I do see them as animals. I see humans as animals too. Isn't that funny? We're just big animals. And animals have their place. They're definitely a therapy device. Animals can mirror back so much emotion. And it depends on how much love and how much energy we give into this animal. Because it's really kind of like another form of us. It's what we see that we're really projecting out. And that's the truth. That's the God's honest truth. It's not really separate. So it's like the more empathy and love we have, the more loving and empathetic our animals are going to be. Because of how much energy we're putting off onto our animals. And then, you reap the rewards of that because you're a healthy, balanced, loving individual. And then other areas of our life can lack. So I find that if I'm super, super spiritual, and I am, and I'm super analytical at the same time, which I am, oh God, I think, and let's say the area I'm lacking in right now is complete motivation to be a grunt. I don't have the motivation to go out and be a grunt or slave away to a 9-to-5 anymore. I don't have that. So financially, I'm just kind of like meh. And that's in this day and age, one way that I can suffer. I don't think that the day and age really affords us the freedom to financially, right? Yet, I'm making the time to be out here in nature. I'm being happy. I'm making other appointments. I regularly take part in some 12-step environments. And I do that because I find a spiritual aspect to it. And ultimately, I had found freedom from something I struggled with a long time ago. It doesn't matter about the time quantum because it's really only today. Maybe it's like some kind of bolstering. It was a long time ago. If I'm honest, I started my journey into all of this at 19. And prior to that, my other journey started into the negative aspects at 15. And prior to that, I was never going to do anything. I just knew, beyond a shadow of a doubt, I would never, because of all the harm I received as a young person, I would never become that harmer. I would never become like my father. I just knew it. So I hid and I turned all of the things opposite. Every single ounce of harm that I received from other people, I would try to turn it around and somehow love back. And that's dangerous for somebody. That's really, unless you're a super strong person to begin with, it's super dangerous. It's painful. It hurts. And then, for the most part, I attracted, and it became a thing. Like I was a doormat for like-minded individuals. And it turns out, it's just what I'm projecting out. Because it's what I'm looking to receive. And so, as I graduate into a higher vibratory status, a higher vibration, and I vibe up, and I'm happier, and I'm seeing myself in a more beautiful light, and I am more beautiful, then I start attracting more. And as I do that, it complicates the shit out of things in my head. Because if I am conflicted and don't really want to be dating, yet I'm putting myself out there for it, isn't that kind of where you end up getting a mess? I see it as a mess, but maybe not. Maybe I'm just doing every single thing like it's supposed to be done. And maybe I'm just walking through life with an open heart and an open mind. with the positivity that every day is going to be better than the last. Every day is better. I think to that statement and, that movie, Home, Disney movie. And he says, today is best day ever. That's not a bad, positive outlook in life. Man, my beard looks poopy. Today, my beard is straying, huh? All right, so relationship-wise, as long as I am completely healed, in which case I guess I'm not, because I'm conflicted, and so it would prove by my own analogy that I'm not ready to be dating. I have more healing to do. Yet, I still love the idea of finding like a higher vibrational match, seeking out my highest vibrational partner or wife. Ultimately, I think that's what we want to do as humans. We want to pair up and be somewhere for life. Find somebody that's really in it to win it like we are. For me, I'm very, very conflicted with that because I'm still legally married, yet I've been separated since November of 19. I haven't even talked physically with my wife in months. She's, ever since I separated with her, she's become like an enemy that just, from every single thing that I collect as her towards me in this situation relating to our children with custody and whatnot, it just seems like she hates me, and she's willing to and trying to do every single thing that she can to try to like win some kind of war or battle. And it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be like that. It needs to be, everything in life needs to be done out of love and for spiritual growth. That's how I see things. Like I said, I attract unconsciously. I used to, and I guess I still might. Some of that poison that I grew up with. And the idea that, well, even though there's these red flags or whatever it is, well, that's not too bad. Whatever red flag. My head wants to say, oh yeah, by the way, it'll be okay. That one's not that bad. Even though it already bothers me, whatever it is, right? And then there's the other outlook, is that if somebody has a minor red flag, that I can fill the space and somehow compliment that individual. Doesn't that sound like beautiful? I think that if it's some kind of perfect match and yet there's a way that I can compliment this other individual, something that I like to do already, naturally, right? And it's lacking in their life, and they've got the other side handled. Wouldn't that be a fucking cool symbiotic relationship? I think that too. So, if you're bearing with me, and I know already, 20 minutes have gone by while I wrestle through my own mind on camera. It's actually lifting my spirits talking about it, because I felt, a minor bit. I felt a minor bit down, if I'm honest. I don't know if my sleep health has been on point. I did get a good night's sleep, but I almost overslept. I wanted to stay in bed this morning. I hit the snooze button. It's about an 8-minute snooze. And then I got out of bed. I'm going to head back after my walk and focus on some art. I'm currently drawing an alien. That's really cool. I'm excited about that thing. It looks pretty wild so far, and I'll probably share that on Facebook. And for anybody that is not aware of my Facebook, that is on my YouTube, that's not on my Facebook, it's just Donnie Kostick. Donnie with the I-E, DONNIE-KOSTICK. That way you can become friends with me on Facebook also, because clearly I like lasting permanent relationships. And my vision for myself is to be a pillar of society here. I may not have all the pieces in place, but I look at the opportunities to be out in the community currently, just taking part in community events and looking at ways to orchestrate them. And mainly with the focus on our youth, to help retrain the youth. Just aligned. My ideals and goals are just in alignment with what's going on right now currently. And I'm so happy about that, because the world needs it. I mean, ultimately we need a better youth that's smarter and retrained, because they're our leaders. They're going to be inheriting and taking over the world. We have to be responsible with how we fucking train our youth as a society. We can't just look away while everything goes to shit. No, we have to fucking step up to the challenge and train our kids the right way, so that we have future leaders, period, that are healthy and not gonna fuck shit up so much that we don't have a future. My daughter, I just heard in a visit, she mentioned wanting to become a cop. And I thought, how cool is that? It's fucking beautiful. And if she wants to be a lady in blue, right? An officer, I'm going to fully support her into that, because, that's, I think that was a mild dream of mine when I was younger. And I get to behave in a manner now where I utilize law enforcement. It's the same as any individual or citizen. And then there's some kind of fucking bullshit in the background of my head. I'm not going to go into any of the negative anymore. It just feels like if I do, I'd be feeding it. So, relationship, huh? What we got is, and I believe everybody's working on themselves in layers, including myself. And I just think so deeply most of the time, and I go into this different realm of existence. I'm not stuck in my head. I really do want to kind of close off the world a little bit in order to preserve my energy, because if we have romantic encounters or sexual encounters with others, we have a part of our energy is tied to that person physically for a while, especially if there's actual exchange of fluid in energy. What it does is it creates a bond between two individuals. Now, spiritually, with on a soul level, there's a string there too. So it's like, if we're really, really sure about something, then it's there, and that connection is almost kind of like a permanent thing. It's like a string that cannot be severed, that is always there. And those strings become scars in our path. And the scar is just a path of travel that every single time I go in my head and I think of this other individual, that's the path of travel. So it's further embedding into that scar, so to speak, like a string connecting the two. We could even look at it like connecting the dots, right? And then if all the dots are star pieces, we're connecting stardust and forming a star. I'm just joking, Jesus. I'm joking, but I'm not. I was letting my imagination go wild with that one. And spiritually, some of that really makes sense and lines up. So, what I know is this. I don't feel 100% whole when I'm engaging in dating, because, especially if it's more than one person, because I'm going through and I'm looking at things. Now, if everything seems amazing at first, but then there's some red flags that I do not agree with, I probably should just steer clear of that, because, it's not my job to go into something thinking that I can put up with something that I don't want to put up with. And then the other one is if I can compliment somehow, because this other person clearly needs it, and or something else lines up and it looks like an old pattern. And for me, I see so many different patterns that it's fucking ridiculous, trust me. I mean, and I've been on a few dates recently, and my focus gets shifted to the dating realm versus success within my artistry. So with that, I don't feel complete. I feel unbalanced. And maybe I haven't learned how to be completely balanced yet on that note, with this new endeavor into having art be my source of income. I mean, I haven't made one effort to go out and find a producer. And I have a bunch of very cool visions for the filming industry. And I get that the filming industry is probably, there's a lot of people that try to get in there. And I have a very big vision for some, a very large scale thing. Then I just learned that Tom Cruise grossed something like $500 million already. And then I thought, I was thinking that something like Pirates of the Caribbean would only gross like 11 million. That's ridiculous. If it's gonna gross like $500 million, and I only want like less than 5% of this, that's still a lot of fucking money. So I've got to be very careful with what I talk about, where I talk about. If I don't have my shit copyrighted, then technically anybody could take a face value idea from me and try to sell it. They're not going to have all the pieces there. I have all the pieces that I've written down. Does that make anything accurate? Like, I've just had a hard time financially recently because I have to be localized to an area where, well, let's say the local market for that trade that I am a professional in, major appliance repair, is kind of dominated currently. It's not saying that there's a lack of work here, just there's so many people already trying to swallow up all the work that I end up with a limited supply of work. Now, the way fuel is costly, I mean, it's always been costly, but I can't theoretically dump $145 in my tank every day or two unless I'm collecting 5 times that, right? Good morning. So, yeah, financially I'm scrambling. I haven't even been able to copyright my freaking movie ideas. And I've told a lot of people. And I guess who cares? It's a really big thing. I should keep it quiet until I actually make it happen. And, You know, if I go out and copyright my name and somebody's already copyrighted it, then I got to deal with them and go, hey, you know, how is it that I know you and that this name is copyrighted underneath your name? And then I have proof that I've written this prior to your copyright. And then I got to go to some kind of fucking court, battle with somebody, blah, blah, blah. I just wouldn't think that that's, I'm naive. I wouldn't think that people would do that. But then I guess there's a lot of people out in the world that would, maybe. I mean, if you think about the kind of money, 5% of $500 million, it's quite a bit of money. And then, you know, if my big mouth gets me into some trouble, then it did. And I learned from that. And I have better ideas. I have more ideas. I have other grand ideas. I mean, first of all, the biggest one is capitalizing on something that's already established, you know, just working with them, the idea. And then I've got great expressions in my head to tap into. And I see other pillars of society that were just so grand, beautiful. Charles Schultz, Stan Lee, just this imaginative process of beauty and love. And I love imagination. I love feeding into it. I love everything about it. And so with that being my greatest strength, I need to feed it more. I can't get fucking distracted with some kind of emotional connection to another individual, even if it's super spiritual and it's supposed to be happening. That's where I feel like I'm super conflicted. This guy just came by me doing about 40 miles an hour on his electric bicycle dirt bike. That was crazy. I don't even know if that should be allowed on a walking path. It says no dirt bikes, and yet he's on a dirt bike out here. He should be on the damn road. He's doing 40. He doesn't need to be on the trail. That's a vehicle for the road. Whatever. Gross, huh? Oh, goodness. Plus, I'm just getting over this little minor head cold. I think every time I get a cold, it throws me off energy-wise anyway. Then, for some reason, you know, after my dermal in my neck had healed, I guess I got some bacteria, maybe from the river or something like that. I did go in the river up north. I don't know. Each one of my piercings that were new got infected minorly. Even my eyebrow had gotten infected recently. So I've been putting triple antibiotic ointment on them, trying to get that to go away. This one's healed. One by one, they'll get better. I shower daily, whatever. I also went into the ocean, and the higher bacteria side of the mouth of the Russian River right there at Jenner, I went in there also. So it could have been bacteria from any one of these locations, or some kind of little bugs that got on my skin that, you know, my body wasn't used to. I didn't like. But yeah, I woke up yesterday with my neck swollen, and basically got some pus out of it and put some antibiotic ointment on it. I look at physical signs like that as that I'm not balanced in health. Ooh, the sun's coming up. Because a lot of times our bodies are signifiers. Our bodies will example poor health when we're not completely balanced mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. And so as I walk through this phase of my existence, I'm doing my best to find a happy medium between all of this. That way I can be less harmful to myself and less harmful in general to others. You know, one aspect of my walk every morning, I tend to find very intelligent individuals, very like-minded individuals, and we have a chat, conversation, sometimes very deep in thought. Kind of philosophize the shit out of things sometimes, especially when I involve my imagination. And I like speculating certain things because it feeds it. And it's what I crave. I crave new. I always have. So as a creator, I crave creating. I don't think that's ever going anywhere. I could look at the different avenues to get to a certain area of greatness, right? My mantra, one of them used to be love, fame, wealth, health, happiness. So whenever I see that one of those slipping, I automatically got to correct it and see why. What happened? What was I doing that caused the shift? And then I automatically feel amazing after my walk, right? Even though I woke up in a little bit of a down, not feeling that great, maybe overamped or overtaxed from how much caffeine I've had recently. So I cut the caffeine out this morning. Protein is a boost of energy. It's just a different way for our body to use it instead of the adrenal gland. Feeds your muscles. I hit the bench press this morning. I'm getting a pretty good tone going on with my chest. Ooh, yeah, flexing them babies. Didn't The Rock say, peck papa love? There's a conflict with working out even. Two different styles. To build bulk, you just hit the heaviest thing you can hit a couple times. And then for the longevity or actual strength training, you just do repetition with lower weights. That way it actually builds a healthier, long-lasting muscle that's a good core strength. So I just do about 130. I do a repetition, about 13 reps of 130 pounds right now. And I could probably do like a 250 or something like that once or twice. And now I see muscle mass builders in the gym doing that kind of thing to really just prove how much weight they can do once or whatever. And that's okay in certain competitions. I might want to do that a few times coming up after I'm back in shape enough to where I'm not going to hurt a joint or like my shoulder or a tendon. I went through a long period of inactivity with physical fitness, focused on other areas of my life. And so the freedom I've had recently, clearly I'm taking advantage of physical fitness. It makes me feel better, helps balance me out. If I skip it, I end up skipping out on myself. Isn't that funny? And then I could pay for it. But even though yesterday morning I didn't go on a walk because I had a late night, that was an experience with an individual that, I may be very attracted to. I ended up going on a 3+ mile walk later that day. So balanced out. I found the exercise, I went and did it. And so with all the shit in mind that I have and thinking and just rambling on. Who wants to hear all this stuff? Does it help anybody? I don't know. Maybe my personal relationship battle or whatever I'm dealing with, going through, and openly discussing on a YouTube platform, maybe it can be of some benefit to somebody else. Maybe I think in a way that somebody else has already been through and they've graduated through that. Maybe they can, that individual could help or point. And I'm pretty excited and pretty intelligent, and I'm pretty. Jesus. I'm just focusing on these things, even though I'm very much aware of certain things. And I am kind of tailor making a video to vent certain things out that I'm giving up. And in that process, I'm growing. And if there's an attempt to be able to share it with the world and somebody's going to find some kind of benefit, that's mainly my hope. I'm not trying to force shit on anybody as much as trying to help open eyes, because maybe somebody doesn't even think like me. And I say that maybe because, I don't know, I look around. If I really want to focus on some of the stuff, I can look around and see and nitpick and pick everything apart. Period. Everything with everybody. It doesn't matter how successful you are. I can find something. Now, that's not okay to do. Maybe I can use it as a benefit for myself versus trying to see all the negatives, you know? So I don't go through life trying to just see all the negatives, but I automatically collect all the negatives. Like, it's just something my mind looks at because I like to fix. That's shit, why I started psychiatrist going back in, well, first psychology, but back when I was closer to 20 years old. I think I got interested in the idea at 19, and then by the time I was 23, I was headstrong into desiring to fix the mind. And it starts with my own. And as I heal and I grow and I fix myself, shit, I'd love to take more people with me. But then I'm also aware of the dangers of involving new into my life. And I can see why a lot of people end up lonely. You know, some of the greatest minds go off and are just by themselves. And I'm damn close to that, honestly. If I had no responsibilities currently, I'd probably be off in the woods by myself, living off the land or something like that. But I have responsibilities, and I'm a responsible individual for those responsibilities. I love my children. I love my future with them. And I love every possible outcome that benefits their life in a loving manner. And so a lot of my focus goes on that relationship and making sure that every single aspect of my goals with that relationship are going to be met. And that's being the best father I can. And I think every parent intentionally does that. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very good. In the middle of a video, otherwise I'd probably try to stop you and chat. Four ladies out on their walk. Oh, you know, I've had a minor experience with these ladies in a chat, and they're very, very intelligent and loving, and smart. So, you know, there's a lot of time in the flesh And we have an abundance of that, I think, as humans. We can do and create whatever we want for ourselves at any point in time in history. We can go from nothing to everything. That's something that's true. All we have to do is shift our mindset. Because once we start thinking healthy and positive, everything else falls in line. And as creators, we are that. Like, you know, it's a tough... I guess it's not really tough. I accept it. I could try to look negative again and say it's tough for some people to accept that. In which case, my message is probably not going to reach those hands. My message is probably going to only reach those individuals that are looking to be like-minded. I can ramble on. Maybe I'm not rambling. Maybe this is just my therapy. And maybe if I look at all the relationship aspects and I look at the ideas that I'm doing my best to better myself in every arena of life, and I desire that for everybody around me in order to have a beautiful place to live in and coexist with other humans in harmony with nature, in harmony with spirit, in harmony with life in general, our neighbors, to go outside and love everybody. That's not a bad fucking message. I could turn around and cuss about it. Want to know why? Because cussing doesn't really mean anything other than an intentional expression towards that emotion. It's a way to express emotion that's on par with how you use it punching something. I mean, it's the same kind of chemical impact in your head. If you're angry enough and you say, you know, so I don't see swearing, cursing, or any kind of cuss word as something negative, because it's not, unless it is. If we make it negative, it is. It's the old cliche thing about gun control. Like, did the gun fucking kill somebody, or did the person behind it do it? Clearly, the person behind it. I had a recent experience where I had an individual tell me I needed to sell something because it got me into trouble. And I was like, dude, that's ass backwards from the truth. I'm responsible for me. It wasn't my dirt bike's fault. Like, give me a fucking break. What are you doing with your mind if you think we're gonna blame the fucking machine I got on? What a joke. And furthermore, both of these individuals that think like that, one of them was the fucking cause. Like, the direct cause. Poisoned me. And then saw the outcome. And you know what? Like, I sacrificed myself for that shit. And then I end up in a position of ultimately a lot more time to focus on healing and loving myself, along with the opportunity to benefit my kids down the road in a better, more positive human existence, to where my children are not going to have, you know, they'll have their own set of things to work through, as we all do in life, but they're not going to be my bullshit. I can promise that. I'm not going to pass on all of the harm that I received, ever. And I would have never done that in the beginning. But then there were some characteristics that I've become aware of that were toxic traits that I had no idea were toxic until later. Even if it's just planting some kind of negativity in the mind as a form of control measure to get a better behavior out of a child, when I could have just been leading by example the whole time. I could have distracted them and shown them the proper way to be through love. I did that mostly. I tried my best. I've done, all that I can. And I think most parents or individuals do that. I think everybody does their best. And everybody's in stages of doing their best. And if I looked around and I nitpick and critique every single thing, well, it's just because I hold myself to a different standard that most... there are others, I know that. And this message of love and light inside of me is a great thing. I hold that dear. And I realize that there's so much more to be had. It's not that I know everything. I'm open to the idea that I know nothing. But not physically knowing nothing. Knowing everything. Knowing nothing to gain everything in a way like the biblical stature of the meek shall inherit the earth. Or, you have to let go of everything in real terms to be able to receive everything. So as a receiver of love and light, or I let go of love and light to receive it. That's the kind of idea. The more I give, the more I receive. So the more knowledge I give out, the more knowledge I receive. The more beautiful the layers become of this ever unfolding experience that we get to coexist in as humans. Be it that we're running around creating our own realities. That's something that I guess basics really don't apply to that kind of concept. And I have some very elaborate concepts in my head that are through training and learned behavior and study and philosophy and psychiatry and physiology, psychology, blah, blah, blahology. I go blahology. Good morning. Blahology. I could just use a bunch of words, and I'm trying to make myself sound better. Ooh, look how smart I am. Oh my God, I studied so much. I'm a scholar. I think it's funny, and it's the more titles we get on paper that makes us feel better about our ego. And I could be the most amazing motherfucker. Walk right by you and you'd never know unless you peeked inside. How do you peek inside? Maybe you can get to know me. Woo! Maybe that's what anybody watching a 53-minute video of me rambling is doing. And maybe that's the best thing of all. I tend to want to make videos about a lot of different stuff and not really specialize in one area. And I don't see that as a flaw. I see that as a, an angle to get a basic message that's good for humanity out in the open. And it's something I've learned from being out in the open. Something I looked at. Something I gravitated towards. Something I started experiencing. Something that changed me in a way of being a detrimental caveman human into who I am now. Not willing to go out and harm the next human next to me for benefit of profit or benefit of, making myself feel better. And then I got to be careful, because if I go into a dating environment and everything looks beautiful, that could be harm too, especially if I just remove myself bluntly. Weird, right? I care so much. Ultimately, I care so much about myself, and that's why I can care outward. But am I feeling super great about being mildly unbalanced or uncomfortable because of adapting to something new? Yes, that's accurate as fuck. I do feel unbalanced when I am involving myself into somebody else's reality. So, I'm gonna cut this minute off right at 8 seconds from now, because it'll be 55 even. You know what? I could even go to all 5s for fun. I guess I'll wait another minute. That way the video's all 5s. 5, 5, 5, 5. Subconsciously, I guess I wanted to do that. I wasn't really planning it. I just looked up and figured I better cut the damn video off at this minute. So out comes cut the minute. I'm gonna enjoy the trail on the way back, maybe get into a conversation or two, and really commune with nature. Because looking at the camera and looking at nature in the background, it's like an interface, being right in the face of nature. I'm using a little interface here. All right, I love you. Stay up, stay lit, and peace.